Hi, welcome to this video class. This is Pravina here to teach you Science Class 7, Lesson 9, Soil. So without any further delay, let's move on to the lesson. Soil is one of the most important natural resources where it provides anchorage to plants. It also supplies water and nutrients to the soil, to the plants, and you can see that it is the home for many organisms. It is essential for agriculture which provide food, clothing and shelter. Soil is thus an inseparable part of our life. So here is an activity for you. Soil teeming with life. So you can see that many organisms that which are living on the earth. So in this activity, you just try to collect the soil from different sources, such as you just collect the soil from the garden, as such the soil from the roadside and the place where the construction is going on. So try to collect the soil samples from different places, and you just try to mention the type of plant which is growing in that soil, and also the animals which are living in the soil, and any other observations. And in any other way, in this column you can mention that the kind of plastics that which are available in the soil. So these days you will find more amount of polythene bags and plastics that which pollute the soil, and even they kill the organisms that which are present in the soil. So apart from these pollutants, the soil is also polluted by many waste products, chemicals and pesticides. So the use of these waste products or the chemicals, they should be treated before they are released into the soil, and also the use of pesticides should be minimized. So it is because of that, as these plastics are polluting the soil, there is a great demand to ban this polythene bags or plastics nowadays. So try to complete these activity. So now let us discuss what are the different layers that the soil is composed of. So that what we call that different layers as soil profile. Soil is composed of different layers. So as to find this, you just have to perform an activity. For this, you just take some amount of some soil from the earth, and you just take a beaker, fill it with 3/4 of water, and try to add a fistful of sand to this water. Try to dissolve it, and just wait, so that just let it be undisturbed for some time, so that the soil particles get settled down. So you will observe that where the soil is being differentiated there into different layers. So the base of that beaker, which consists of gravel, then above that sand, and above that is the clay, and above that is the water and humus. So as such, the soil is being differentiated into different layers by adding that soil to the water. So after performing that, try to answer this question. Do you see different layers of particles of different sizes in the glass tumbler? And the way that they have separated, you just try to draw a diagram showing these layers. Are there some dead rotting leaves or animals remains floating on water? So these rotting dead matter that which is present in the soil is called as humus. As we all know that the soil is formed by the breaking down of rocks, by the action of wind, water and climate. So that process is called as weathering. So the nature of the soil, it completely depends upon the rock from which it is being formed, and also the kind of vegetation that it grows in. So let us now see what is meant by soil profile and how these layers are arranged one below the other. So a vertical section through the different layers of the soil is called the soil profile. So each of these layers, they differ in color, texture, depth and also chemical composition. All these layers are called as horizons. So where in this image you can see that this soil profile is divided into 4 different layers. As usual, that we see mostly the topmost layer of the soil, which is called as the A horizon. But if you have seen a recently dug ditch, or when the foundation process of the house is being laid down, so during that times you can see or on the roadside or on the hill slopes, you can find the different layers which are different layers of the soils which are being arranged one below the other. So here the topmost layer of the soil, which is called as the A horizon, it is dark in color due to the presence of humus, and also it consists of large amount of minerals in it. So this humus is just makes the soil fertile, and it also supplies the required nutrients for the growth of the plant. And generally this layer, you can find that the soil is soft, porous, and it can retain more water. And apart from that, this layer also consists of many living organisms. It gives shelter to many living organisms such as worms, rodents, and so on. And in this top layer, you can find the roots of the small plants which are embedded in the topmost layer. So this layer is called as the A horizon or the top soil. And below the A horizon is the B horizon, which is also called as the middle layer. And here you can find it is somewhat very tightly packed. It is somewhat hard. It consists of lesser amount of humus in it, but it consists of more amount of minerals in it. So this layer is called as the B horizon, or it is also called as the middle layer. And next, coming to below the B horizon is the C horizon, which consists of small clumps of rocks with caves and crevices. That is the C horizon, and below that is the bedrock. The last layer is the bedrock. It is very hard and it is very difficult to dug with a spade. So these are the different layers which are arranged one below the another, and this is called as the soil profile. So A, or the horizontal, which is also called as the top soil, or the B horizon, or it is also called as the middle layer, and the next is the C horizon, and the last is the bedrock. And slightly there is a mistake here, it is not horizontal and A horizon it is also called as A horizon or the top layer. So this is how the soil profile is being seen. Now let us see the different soil types. So is it that the soil the same in all the places, or there to exist many different types of soils? Let us see that. Soil types. So you already know, we usually know that the process of due to the process of weathering, where it just, you can see after the process of weathering, where it just gives rise to more number of small particles, and these material which consists of soil and clay. So the combination of the soil and clay is being formed. So this soil and clay, the proportion of this soil and clay, it completely depends upon the rock from which it is formed. That is the parent rock from which it is being formed. So the mixture of rock particles and humus is called the soil. And you can also see large number of living organisms that which exist in the soil, so that such as bacteria or the roots of a plant, or also you can find large number of earthworms. So these are also the important part of any soil. And the soil is classified on the basis of the proportion of particles of various sizes. For example, if the proportion of large particles, that is the big particles, is more, then we consider that soil as sandy. And if the proportion of fine particles is higher, then we consider that as a clayey soil. And if both large particles and the fine particles, if they are in equal proportion in the soil, we consider that as a loamy soil. So we can classify the soil into three different types, such as sandy, loamy, and clayey. Now let us see what the different properties of this soil is. So the size of the particle in the soil has an influence on its properties. So let us see, based on the property, there are some changes, there are some which it shows influence on the properties of the soil. For example, the sandy soil, as it consists of some large particles, you can see that they are not compactly arranged, they are not tightly arranged, they just leave much gap, there is much space between the soil particles. So as there is a large space between the soil particle, that which is filled with the air. Okay, and also as it is filled with air, and also you can see when you add water to that, the water easily percolates down through the soil particles. As there is more space between them, the water easily percolates down, it drains out quickly. So sandy soils, they tend to be light, well aerated, and rather dry. Then coming to the another type of soil, that is the clay soil. When compared to the sandy soil, which is where the particles of the soil are larger, but whereas in clay you can see that they are very fine particles and they are closely packed. So as they are closely packed, there is much less space when compared to the sandy soil. So that less space is being occupied by the air. As the soil particles are compactly arranged, you can see see where that water can be retained for a larger period in this soil particles. So they are heavy as they hold more water than the sandy soil. Whereas sandy soil, they are light, well aerated and also rather dry. Whereas clay soils, they have less air but they are heavy as they hold more water than the sandy soil. And the next type of soil, the best topsoil for growing plants, is loam. The loam soil also has humus in it. So this loam soil, it is a combination of both the clay soil and the sandy soil. And also along with it, it also consists of one more type of soil particle which is known as silt, which is being obtained from the seabeds, which is being found there as deposits. So the loam soil, it is best for growing plants and it is the combination of both the clay soil and the sandy soil. So the loam soil, the proportion of that will be in between the clay soil and the sandy soil. So it has the right water holding capacity for the growth of the plants. So the soil particles in the soil, it has an influence on its property. So as such, we have seen the sandy soil, which is different from clay soil, which is also different from the loam soil. So these are the different properties of the soil. So which type of soil would be the best for making pots, toys and statues? So for this, you just collect the different soils from the different regions and you just try to knead the soil in such a way, try to make a heap out of it and try to convert that heap into a cylinder and see whether it can be converted into a ball or it can be converted into a ring. So you just knead the soil first. Whatever the soil that you wanted to test, try to collect that soil. You just remove any pebbles or large stone particles which are present in it. You just remove them and knead the soil by adding water drop by drop. You just convert that into a heap. So if it is converted into a heap, we call it as a sand. Yes, and if that which can be converted into a cylinder, we say that it may be sandy loam, where the cylinder can't be if a cylinder is not being obtained from that soil, we call it as a sandy loam or light loam or heavy loam or light clay or clay as such. So if the cylinder that what you have obtained from that, this cylinder, if it breaks on bending, we consider it as loam. If you can do a semicircle out of that cylinder, we consider it as a heavy loam. If you can just bring a shape of a ring, but if that ring is cracked, we consider that as a light clay. And also if you can make a ring out of it, we consider that as a clay. So clay soil is best suitable for preparing all that statues and so on. So soil, it completely depends upon based on the shape that which is obtained from the soil, we can define the type of the soil, what type of soil it is. Thank you. Meet you in the next video.